Hello and welcome. Pushpa the Rise has collected over 365 crores in 50 days of its release, despite opening bang in the middle of the third wave. The Allu Arjun starrer has captured the fascination of the entire country from the south to the north, with dialogues and songs still going viral. Renowned trade analyst and industry tracker Sreedhar Pillai breaks down the reasons Pushpa became a national phenomenon. Hello, sir.
Hello, Push. Hello, Shilpa. Tell me.
Hello, Pushpa. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the word on everyone's mind.
yeah.
Firstly,
And
I want firstly I wanted to ask you so about the kind of collections that the film has done. It just crossed over 100 crores, the Hindi version.
yeah, they have announced it officially as like you said, 365 crores, which is phenomenal by any yardstick. And remember that it's originally a Telugu mass movie, and you could not expect this to do so well. And this 365, I would say, is somewhere near the truth. I mean, everybody whom I met have seen Pushpa at least in theaters in the northern Indian belt, and it's done exceptionally well in single screens and the multiplexes also, but it's in the single screens which has done phenomenal business. And there are multiple reasons also for the why the film is such a big hit. I would first say that Allu Arjun is a national star. Allu Arjun, he knows how to get over it. He has a wide worldwide reach before itself, and all his Telugu films were dubbed and shown in the Hindi belt, so people could recognize the brand Allu Arjun.
And he's bunny, and he's also somebody who's known throughout the country, a lot of appeal with kids, especially through his songs, for sure. Do you
Hmm.
feel, sir, that the fact that tentpole films are coming from South India, particularly the Telugu industry? We've seen in the past Bahubali, we're seeing RRR, we're seeing Pushpa, also KGF was a tentpole phenomenon. It was Bollywood that was dominating the industry so far, so many years. But off late, it's been Telugu films that's gone national, global, and definitely viral.
Hmm. Yeah, that is what has happened after the second wave. If you noted, before that there was Master, but Master has not done the kind of business that Pushpa has done. For some strange reason, films which has been dubbed and had a theatrical release were never. I mean, the kind of rage that Pushpa has created, they were not able to create all these years. Well, if you really ask me why the reason, maybe a lot of factors. There were no other movies at that particular time in December 17th when Pushpa released. There was only 83. And this is a mass movie. And
So can I
already,
ask
like,
you, Spider-Man No Way Home was also released
oh
around
yeah,
that time.
but Spider-Man also did extraordinary business. Spider-Man is a Hollywood film dubbed in regional languages movies, and nobody really thought that Pushpa would do so well. Nobody even in their wildest dream. And I couldn't imagine after the first weekend that the film has sustained for 4 weeks. And that too in proper theaters with regular shows. And some of the DCRs which I saw were amazing that the film could collect so much money from Northern India belt. And whilst it has definitely done better than Spider-Man after 25 days. Initial, the box office was definitely for Spider-Man. And then 83 also couldn't match up to this film. 83 is supposed to be an original straight Bollywood film, and it couldn't match up to Pushpa. Pushpa had that something running in it. Maybe the story, the content was also good. Content was something that you saw in the old 80s and 90s Bollywood films, where a larger than life hero, against all odds triumphs towards the end. So that is the kind of movie which a certain section of the audiences may have wanted. And it really worked wonders. And if you really ask me, the Allu Arjun brand, plus the way that Pushpa was marketed by Goldmine, and as something, an event, So it was a tentpole release in all sense.
So, but do you also feel that this film is not as politically correct as the other films? Even Master, I feel, despite its commercial qualities, did have a sense of responsibility. But this goes back to the 80s tropes. There is, though a lot of commercial films also these days try to be politically correct in terms of feminism or in terms of perhaps the language use. This one just it seems like a hark back to old times. The lyrics of "Ooh Antava" notwithstanding, despite the lyrics, the song is short and again a very stereotypical manner, I have to say. So, do you think this is a signal from the audiences that they want content such as the 80s, 90s masala films, that they're yearning for something like that in the theaters?
Definitely. See, what has happened is that Hindi cinema has veered more towards sophisticated heroes and the multiplexes audiences. So and because of 65% or 70% of the box office collections were coming in from the big cities and from the multiplexes, and the growth of multiplexes has been phenomenal by the different yardstick. But at the same time, what has happened here is that Pushpa was a film which the multiplexes initially looked down because they felt that they will not bring in the audiences. But somehow all that changed after seeing Pushpa. Yes, there's a feel, the old 80s nostalgia. And you need not be politically correct in the 80s and 90s if you really look at what is happening
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
the film. And
Hmm.
also the story is set in a very remote forest area where people are not sophisticated, so you can't expect that Pushpa not character to be very sophisticated and to be nice to people around and all. And he has a chip on his shoulder about his birth and is not given due recognition. So this was a theme which harped, if you really go back to the 70s and 80s, if you look at the Amitabh Bachchan angry young man image, yeah, and you can mix it up with Pushpa here, because the angry young man rode on that. He was not recognized. He was, every in many films, Amitabh Bachchan had played a character who didn't know who his father was, and that kind of characters have had a say in that particular period of the 70s and 80s. And it really created a buzz for Pushpa here in the modern times, when Allu Arjun didn't play a sophisticated character. If it was a Bollywood film, he would have been far more sophisticated. He would have had better looks as far
Hmm.
as the looks department goes. But here he was not conventional handsome in his ways. It is his attitude and the way he takes the film forward that
Hmm.
mattered, and that must have stuck a chord with the audiences.
Well, yes, sir, you are right. The kind of stylized attitude that he has, be it in terms of, the walk, signature walk that he has. But there are some unsavory aspects, like the fact that he pays the heroine some money to kiss him. So what do you feel about these aspects? There is that item song as well. After so much has been said, after we're saying that we're moving South cinema or even Indian cinema, Malayalam cinema is coming up with new formulas. What do you feel about these factors in Pushpa?
That if you're asking me about the heroine concept in Pushpa, well, what you see in modern thing is that it is not the Sati Savitri heroines don't exist any longer in cinema, and they are very particular about it. That mix was there. Maybe a little bit of say machoism is been introduced into that character, just to show that he's manly or whatever it is. These are all values which were there in the 70s and 80s, where characters had such things. So maybe it fitted in with that theory. And your next question about whether it will work in the box office, yes, it seems to have worked, but it is in sync with the theme of the film. If you
Hmm.
really look at the theme, the story, the setting, the milieu, and other things, well, it fits in with the milieu. So I think director Sukumar had fitted it in such a way. And there was also a couple of instances where, if you remember, near Renigunda, near Tirupati, there was a famous instance when people, people who were, woodcutters getting shot recently, about 2, 3 years back. So the basic structure of the story is, they are using forest as a method to collect money and to become rich overnight. It doesn't say whether they are, if you really say whether they are plundering for forest land and forest trees. Well, that's an openable question.
Well, yes, it has a whole Robin Hood kind of concept to it, that
Yeah.
to it. How do you think Pushpa's success will change the game? Now we have some Telugu remakes in Hindi. We're waiting for Shahid Kapoor's Jersey to come out, remake of Nani's film. We have Kartik Aaryan doing Shehzada, which is a Hindi remake of Ala Vaikuntapuramlu, which is Allu Arjun's film. Going forward, looking at the success of Pushpa across languages, do you think these remakes will stop and now these films will just be dubbed or perhaps even shot simultaneously? And these demarcations of South hero and North hero will soon get blurred or slowly get blurred?
I see the whole. My feeling is that cinema has changed, and now what is going to happen is in the next 6 months, the multiplexes need content, and single screens also require content. And for that, they have already discovered that Pushpa is good content. And now, just now, I read that Khiladi, that is a Ravi Teja film, is also getting dubbed in Hindi. So yesterday I was speaking to somebody. There are no dubbing rights of new Hindi, new Telugu mass movies featuring top five heroes. There's nothing. For the next 2 years, people have already purchased at astronomical rates. They have picked it up. So they see a huge market there. And I am also sure. And even Tamil films, mass hero, that is the five top stars movie, are going at very high rate. And Edirkum Tunidevan, that is Surya's movie, it's his theatrical release after 2 years. That's been picked up also. So ET is going to release in 5 languages, that is including Hindi. So you are going to see a lot more South Indian action heroes playing mass, maybe 90% from Telugu and Tamil industry. So I see it as a new revenue stream. Unless and otherwise, Hindi cinema comes out with a series of hits like Gangubai or Jersey, or one of them, 2 or 3 movies works out. Even RRR, I would say, is basically a South Indian cinema.
Hmm.
It has two heroes who's not familiar with the North Indian audiences. So, except S.S. Rajamouli is the showman of the Indian film industry. So, it can ride on him. But at the same time, you are going to see the Ravi Tejas, you're going to see the NTRs, all their film, which is even going to be under production. They haven't even started shooting. The first is going to go is the Hindi rights. That is going to fetch a new market because these theaters in the northern belt need something to feed on. And what is happening to mainstream Hindi cinema is that most of them are going on to the OTT platforms. What we used to call earlier as the multiplex cinemas have virtually migrated to the OTT platforms. At the same time, these kind of mass action films, which you keep for what was traditionally known as the B and C markets, are now coming. They are going to flood the market, and we'll see the results in the next 6 months. We have to see an original Hindi film made in Mumbai and with popular Hindi stars doing well at the box office for this trend to subside, or the cascading effect should be felt little.
Well, yes, I think the Hindi film industry will also be looking forward to that, because if not, the superstar umbrella is going to get a lot wider, and we're going to see new entrants in it this year for sure, especially national superstar level.
Yeah.
So thank you so
Yeah.
much, and I'll catch you again when we have the next super hit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.